Welcome to West Ohio Traction Tracks. I'm Kay Panovec, the Director of Communications. Today we're talking with Brad Aycock, Director of New Church Development, and our topic today is establishing a social media calendar for your local church. Since this is just a 15-minute Traction Tracks, we're going to jump right in. Hi, Brad.
Hello, Kay. Good to be with you today. I'm excited to talk about this important tool that most everyone in the church leadership role, at least, have in their toolbox. And so, want to get right into it?
Absolutely.
All right. We're going to talk about the social media plan, social media calendar, social media strategy. It's been called many different names. I use this in a local church in my last context, and I've helped others to introduce it in their context as well. But I do want to point out that I'm no expert. I have used it, I have experimented with it, and I have seen some results with it, but there are few experts on this. And then on the other hand, there are many experts on it. And so we don't want to position ourselves as bringing you a solution. Our role is to help resource you if you need it at this particular time. And so hopefully this will be helpful. And that being said, I'm going to share with you a 7-day plan. You may not be ready to jump into a 7-day plan. You might just want to start with 1 or 2 or 3 days with your social media plan. The goal is to just develop some consistency and help you to create some structure, and so that you could have a better management around your social media. Structure equals freedom, right? And so that's what we're trying to help you do. Not have it as such an overwhelming task, but more of something that you could take one step up in. We already know the numbers on social media. 7 out of 10 American adults use Facebook. Millennials, Gen X, spend 7 hours on social media each week. So those two groups spend an entire day on social media. And then the second largest demographic on Facebook would be people ages 55 plus. And so no one is exempt from social media, and Facebook being the most popular format right now across the board. Instagram second, and it's growing, but Facebook is still a good general format with a lot of diversity represented. Okay, were you wondering about the best times?
I was just going to ask you about that. Is there a better time to post than other times?
There are better times, and recent research says that Wednesday mornings between 8 and 9 a.m. Eastern, and also Thursdays and Fridays are the best days to post. That's important if you are going to buy ads on social media. Any day is good if you can create a rhythm and help people to continue to check in and visit with your church page. But if
So let me ask you a quick question, Brad. If I were just starting out and I had, let's say, enough content for 3 days, what 3 days would you recommend?
I would recommend for sure Wednesday, Friday. I would probably throw in Saturday just to give people a reminder of your new series that you're launching or guest speaker that you're launching on that Sunday. So if you want to start out small, Wednesday's probably number one. If you want to add another day to your schedule, you might look at Friday. So it's a really good question, because we definitely don't want people going from 0 to 60 and then feeling like they can't do it.
It would be too overwhelming.
That's too overwhelming. Matthew 5:16 says, "Let your light shine," and so that's really one of my verses that I think about when I'm talking about sharing social media. So as you're sharing, you want people to probably read it. We're not doing it necessarily for our health. We're doing it so that we can shine our lights, so that we can be a positive voice in the social media world, so you can rise above the noise. One of the challenges is, though, how do you stop the scroll? You're probably looking at two people here who might not spend a lot of time on a post or a video if it doesn't catch our attention, right? So the goal in creating a social media strategy for your church is you got to zig when others zag. You've got to figure out a way to create visuals that don't look the same, that get me to stop. And when you get me to stop, then I'm going to take a little bit longer look at what you might have going in your church.
So, Brad, let me ask another question. So, a lot of times you'll see people who just post text rather than a text and a graphic. Do you have a preferred way for people to post?
Yeah, if you're working on your church Facebook page, if your church fan page, I think you're going to get more engagement if you post visuals. Studies do show that and reinforce that. Not to say that you can't offer a prayer request for a certain member of your church, but why not offer a prayer request embedded in a cool graphic? And there are lots of apps out there like WordSwag and Canva that you can become a graphic artist yourself, and you can do those types of graphics and put people's prayer requests inside of the graphic. And so I think it's a both and, okay? It just depends on your capacity. Studies definitely reinforce the fact that more people will stop if there's a visual. Not the same visual every Monday or every day, but just different visuals. I looked at some of the higher engaging church Facebook pages, and less than 20% post about their services or events. And so if you think about that, they've adopted the 1 in 5 rule, where 1 out of every 5 posts might ask people to come to church or to come to an event or to be part of worship, right? So if you develop,
is that to help build a relationship with folks before they actually come to visit or to watch even online?
I think it's probably multiple answers to that. I think part of it is if you're always asking people to come to church every day, you're going to get drowned out by other organizations and churches that are adding value to my life. Instead of just want, provide something for me that can help me be better.
Give.
Right. So if you create that structure and that calendar, I like to compare it to like NPR versus QVC. NPR, their fan base, their followers, they step up when NPR has a fundraiser, the once or twice a year fundraiser. Why do people step up? Because people that like NPR, they see value in things that they offer on a daily basis, so that when they do have an ask, people step up. Whereas QVC, they don't apologize. They're selling things all the time, right? Call in for this. And so anyway, point is, be very careful and strategic when you are sharing things about wanting people to come to your church on a daily basis. Give them something to get excited about. And I'm going to give a few examples for you all to consider as you develop your own, maybe an experimental approach to it at this point. Because our ultimate goal is to make disciples of Jesus Christ for the transformation of the world. How can we help people get excited about that, get interested in that as they check out the various different types of churches that are being offered? So day one could be a countdown. You could post a graphic, a visual that says, or even like a motion graphic. Canva, the app Canva, they provide free motion graphics. You could put something along the lines of, take the next 60 seconds to pray for your spouse. Take the next 60 seconds to pray for your kids. Take the next 60 seconds to think about something you're grateful for. You're not necessarily asking for a response there. You're just offering a space for people to pray and give thanks and to think about something. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
I'm happy to offer examples of these if people want to email me anytime. Day two, you could offer a scripture verse or verses. Promoting biblical literacy isn't necessarily a bad thing. Over half of American adults wish they read the Bible more often. And this is a way for us to not beat people over the head with the Bible necessarily. It's a way for us to offer some verses that might speak to them that particular day, give some interpretation of it, give an example of how that could be practical for me today. And so you could offer your scripture. Day two could be as simple as a verse or two. Day three, You could pose a question. And again, this is your church Facebook page. And so your audience primarily would be those who are already interested, have been once, or all in for the mission of your church. And so you could post something like, why did you start attending this church? Please share in the comments. So you asking a question, getting engagement, right? Getting engagement. Or it could be something.
I'm sorry, let me ask you another question. Is engagement more important than likes?
Well, I think it is, right?
Okay, just curious.
Not everybody is going to like. In my social media training, I say sharing is caring. And so people will share these types of posts on their personal wall. And if you've got people from your church or guests who have visited your church who are sharing things from the church wall, they're putting their credibility on the line, and that says a lot. And so if you can give content like this that will add value to the world, I'm putting my credibility on the line by sharing it with my friend groups, right? I think that's what we want, right? We want to sprinkle some positivity out there and encouragement. But that day number 3, which would be Wednesday, if we're going Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, a question you could even put: do you remember your first pet? What was the pet's name? Just something to keep engagement, right? And again, I want to remind us, we're giving you the full week example. Don't think you have to do this. Start small. If you need to start somewhere, take that first step. Start small. Day number 4, which if we're talking about Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, this will be a Thursday. You can share a list. For example, Kay, you could say something like on a graphic, 3 things Jesus never said, right?
Right.
It's challenging. It gives us something to think about. You could do something like, did you know the United Methodist Church was started this year, or United Methodist Church is one of the only denominations globally that supports women in leadership roles and women in ministry. Things like that, some fun facts to help people, especially if you're trying to reach an unreached audience. If they see things like that, that would get them maybe more interested and excited about what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now we're on Friday, day number 5. That's what I call the engagement post. That's when you could post could be cheesy question, could be serious question. The example that I use in the training is on a graphic, on a cool background. Would you rather build the ark or name the animals, or something like that? Does that make sense?
It does. It's kind of fun. It's different.
Fun. You're going into the weekend. It's Friday. People are happy. The weekend's near. And you can just post something like that. It could be even every Friday, could be the would you rather day, right? Would you rather either or, right? And then if you notice, Kay, up until this point, we're on Friday, there has been no promotion about coming to church or events at the church. That's not to say that you can't invite people or share about events, especially if there's something new and exciting that's coming up. You don't want to waste that opportunity. But our point here today is just to say, be very strategic with it. People are going to keep scrolling if it's not something that they may be interested in. Saturday, we call it the invitation post. That's where we remind people. Breaking news, for example, church is tomorrow. We've saved you a seat, or something along those lines. All right, a new series on prayer, for example. Where you could do some fun graphics and do a quiz. Guess what tomorrow is? Pentecost Sunday or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
What is Pentecost Sunday? Engage people. Day number 7 was what I call the Sunday Fun Day. That's really where you're going to share pictures from worship, from church picnic, from Sunday school, things like that. You just want to show fun pictures of people loving the church. And if you created a buzz team, which is something that I talk about in other trainings, you could have a group of people sharing that picture and post, and you could really generate some excitement and momentum as we continue to try to be salt and light in our communities. I'm going to stop there, okay, and see if you have any questions that might be helpful for our audience that might be watching this.
I was just going to ask you to recap again. So if I'm starting from scratch, so I'm not overwhelmed, Wednesdays and Fridays are the best times to post, correct?
That's correct. So
if I'm a little bit further advanced, then it's a different text and graphic in most, on every day, it will be a different text and graphic to continue to build interest leading up to an invite at the end of the week.
That's a great way to summarize it. Start small. If you're going to start with 2 days, Wednesday, Friday, get a rhythm going. Make sure Wednesdays are consistent because people are going to be looking for that. Use some good graphics, some good visuals, not the same ones every Wednesday, not the same ones every Friday. Slowly, maybe you add some other days into it. But the key is you got to zig when they zag. You've got to not be trying to sell. I'll use that term. You got to give. That's a good word that you shared earlier. Okay, what can you give the audience that will help encourage them at the end of the day? Because we're all looking for it, and over 70% of us, the first thing we do in the mornings when we wake up is what?
Look at our phone.
Look at our phones. Now, some might be looking at their alarms. Some might be looking at texts. Many are looking at social media. How can you get into the palm of their hands, straight to their heart, and plant a seed of encouragement from the moment they open their eyes? So, I'm not saying this will grow your church or cause any major revivals by any means, but having a structure like this will definitely increase your opportunities to engage with your members, who will in turn maybe engage with those who might be struggling out there that you might not even know yet. So it's just a good thing, right? It's a good thing.
So Brad, if people wanted to reach you, how could they get in touch with you?
They can send me an email. It's Brad Aycock, BradAYCOCK at WOCUMC.org.
And I know that there are a series of traction tracks. Where can they find the other video series?
Sure. We plan to continue to put out what we like to think relevant resources, especially during this season, that can help a church re-enter back into weekly gatherings, whatever that means in the contexts that are out there. So you can keep an eye on tractiontracks.org. Also, conference sites will be sharing those as they become available.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Brad, for your time. We appreciate it. And thanks, everyone, for joining us. We'll see you next time on Traction Tracks.
See ya.